Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly Profile here, and welcome. Welcome to today's show. Terrible situation that's taken place up in Idaho. And, today's show is going to be focused on what was Kohberger's motive. Yeah, very, very bad situation. And really, when I'm looking at what was Kohberger's motive, I have to focus on killing to feel sexually alive. Was he killing to feel sexually alive? I believe this was a sexual fantasy crime. And the others that were killed, sad as it was him getting rid of witnesses, witness disposal. Well, this is my take on it. Condolences to all the victims out there. I'm so sorry. Our deepest sympathies go out to the families and friends of Kaye, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. We're sorry for everything you're going through and everything you have gone through. It's a shame. Total, total, total shame. Like I said, I believe he was killing to feel sexually alive. And I have to look at what was behind it. And we're looking at power and control. But what about the sex? In the sexual fantasy, it's not just about power and control, it's about sexual dominance. And I believe this is what he was looking for. My own personal opinion, these are just my opinions, okay? Right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, most of these guys walk around with a flat affect. They're dealing with a slight kind of depression. It's called Anidonia. They don't get pleasure out of normal life things and just normal pleasurable things that other people enjoy. They don't seem to get pleasure out of it. So they more or less focus on the pleasure of the stimulation from the dark side, if you will. And with Bryan, I believe he got a lot of pleasure out of sexual indulgence, the stimulation of risky and forbidden behavior. I really believe that from his days, doing heroin and making moves and stealing this and stealing that, up through the heroin use, up until he went to college. Up in college, he was getting a lot of stimulation. And I call it narcissistic indulgence when somebody wants to jump up all the time and answer all the questions and not give anybody in the class much of a chance to answer. Kind of we used to say a know-it-all, and they get a lot of good feelings from that kind of narcissistic behavior. And you have to understand too, when we're talking about, the sex here, and we're talking about, the sexual enjoyment that these guys get out of dominating a victim. You got to understand they have 4 times more to dopamine than we do. I mean, the normal people don't have as much dopamine as these guys do. For some reason, psychopaths, and I believe he is a psychopath, even though they weren't going to let us use that term in court. Psychopaths have been shown to have 4 times more dopamine, which gives you that big boost sexually than normal people. If you like what we're doing, please hit the like button. Also, to please subscribe. And if you want to comment, we love your comments, so feel free. Let them rip. At this time, too, I want to thank everybody for your purchases of my book, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of John Kelly, Discovering Lazarus, how I kicked a horrific cocaine addiction, became a counselor, a psychotherapist, and finally here I am today as a profiler. Thank you all so much for your kind comments, for your purchases. Also, I want to bring up our free radio, our free channel, Thrive. Please feel free to go to it. Any kind of substance abuse problems that you might be having or that might be in the family, any kind of addictive illness, feel free to go to our channel, John Kelly's Thrive. Tons of education on there on just about any drug you might be playing around with, even on gambling. And we'll be putting more up there, but it is loaded with great education and can really help anybody or any family that's suffering or going through addictive illness. You have to understand addictive illness, is the biggest serial killer out there. Addiction is the worst serial killer out there. It takes more lives than any other serial killer. Okay. With Bryan, his inability to socialize, to be intimate with women, well, and to have any kind of relationship, has, I believe, set up a situation where he, in his mind, had to believe he had to dominate and control them because physically, because there's no way that he felt, he could even communicate on an intimate level with a female. I think that that's why he was very, very focused on looking at different types of videos. I believe that were on women who were knocked out or women who were unconscious, or the best way to abduct a woman, or something that had to do with bondage one way or the other, where they were in a position that they couldn't get free. Um, you know, so what that tells me is, in his mind, he was getting off to dealing with women that were powerless, that were incapable of fighting back, that were just out of it. And he could certainly dominate them uh, sexually, or do whatever he wanted to do to them, because, they were just unconscious or incapable of moving for whatever reason. So, the other thing I want to bring up is that these guys are constantly in the fantasy. I mean, constantly throughout the day, they are always pretty much in the fantasy. All they've got to do is kind of get a glimpse of a woman, young girl, something like that, and right away they jump to that fantasy, and they don't even need to get a glimpse of a female. They just are in that arousal, hypersexual fantasy many times throughout the course of the day. Some of them have lost jobs because they're so preoccupied with the fantasy. I believe Bryan is filled with rage and lust. I believe he was angry for a lot of different reasons when he came into that apartment. I believe he was angry with himself and possibly losing a job at the college where he was, I guess, assisting as a professor, and didn't get along well with the class, and especially the females of the class. So I could see something stoking his anger that night going into that house towards females, because I think they spoke out about him to the powers to be over at Pullman, and they were getting ready to release him, and he saw it coming, and he was angry about it because now he's failing. He's not at the top of his class or the head of his class anymore. I believe he's been fantasizing and lusting about having complete power and control and sexual dominance over Maddie, who I believe was definitely his victim, his target, for a long period of time, based on all the driving around the house, where he parked, how he could look in through a window. Early on, I thought maybe Kaye could be the target. We felt there was some type of communication there. But after we found out that, it wasn't, there was no, and maybe we're still wrong. We won't know until, we see what comes out after the gag order has been dropped. But it looked like Kaye was the target in the beginning. It might be Kaye, but now it's shifted to Maddie. I kind of go with Maddie. And the reason for that is because of her kind to be more assertive, maybe even aggressive, if somebody got in her face or brushed her the wrong way. And we know she worked at that Mad Greek restaurant, but so did Kaye. And we can't even put him in the Mad Greek restaurant, but we know he was into vegan food, and we know that's probably the only place around that served vegan food, right? So I believe he was in the neighborhood many, many times, and parked outside so he could get a glimpse again. fantasizing all the way. God knows what else he was doing with himself out there. But he's fantasizing and living in that sexual dominating fantasy, if you will. And that's where I believe he decided to get to the point where he had thought about it long enough, and now it was time to do something about it. And I believe that's when he moved on her, and I believe he had all intentions of killing her right from the beginning because he did not want to leave any witnesses. Certainly was not going to leave any witnesses. I mean, look at the way he was trained. Okay. I mean, this guy's going for a PhD. He's already got a master's degree in criminal justice. I mean, he's talked with criminals on how they got caught. I'm sure eyewitnesses put some of them behind bars. So he probably is very, very in tune to witness disposal. If there's no witnesses, they can't show up in court and testify against you. I'm sure he's gotten that through his books and through getting his degrees, and also, from doing the research with various other people who've been arrested and learning from them on how important it is not to have an eyewitness. I don't know if he had to kill Kaye first to get to Maddie. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the way they were laying in the bed together. Because, there's talk now of possibly him grabbing, Kaye around the mouth and cuffing her kind of around the mouth. That's very, very possible. I mean, he walks in there looking for Maddie. There's Kaye along with Maddie. So now his fantasy's blown. It's gone out the window. He's trying to just do whatever he can do. I could see him putting his big hand on somebody's mouth to try and shut them up until he, starts stabbing, because of course screams can bring people, right? So whoever was the first that he would come across in that bed was going to be killed, no matter if it was Kaye or Maddie, because he's not going to have any witnesses. This guy, he knows too much. He's learned too much in school, right? Leave witnesses. And now, because Kaye's there, he loses control completely. And, the fantasy of being alone with Maddie and doing whatever he had in mind with the knife and sexually with her is gone. It's out the window. His fantasy crumbles. This is when he forgets about the sheet and he's looking to get out of Dodge. He's looking to get out the door. So he starts to go down the steps, hits the second floor. He runs into Xana and disposes of her. And then there's Ethan. I understand Ethan was sleeping. So if he's asleep, we didn't see him, right? But I got a problem, and this guy's a very visual guy, so I'm wondering if, Ethan did get a glimpse of him or whatever. I know we'll find out again with the gag order being dropped. He slits Ethan's throat, from what we understand. We'll find out for sure, and kills Ethan. So now he's killed 4 people. He's had no sexual interlude with anybody. He's no power and control or sexual dominance over anybody. What he is now is a mass murderer, that I really believe was a budding serial killer. Not he committed a mass murder, but this guy was a budding serial killer, and I believe would have went on to kill and to victimize women. There is no doubt in my mind. Okay. He doesn't want any witnesses, so a lot of it's witness disposal, and he's learned through his training and interviewing criminals. We've gone over that. And bottom line, he's getting out of Dodge. He's on his way out of the house. He's probably in some kind of euphoric high. He's probably, his mind is in chaos. He's probably really stressed out completely because God knows, I don't believe he walked in that house to kill 4 people with a knife. I don't believe that's what he did, what he intended to happen. In the beginning, I looked at it and thought to myself, boy, what a dummy. Guy's going in with a knife to kill 4 people. I don't think he planned on doing that after I saw the way everybody was positioned and where they were found and the different floors they were on. So when he's leaving, He's all confused. He's euphoric. I mean, he's so probably preoccupied and distracted with that euphoria. He doesn't see the other girl who took a look at him, Dylan Mortensen, and she got a good view of him. So anyway, that's my take on it, folks. Thank God he's pleaded out, and he's going to, as far as I'm concerned, he's never going to see the light of day again. Um, he's not going to have an easy time there. He's going to be scared most of the time he's there. I truly believe that because he's going to be around a lot of different people, some really bad dudes, and lots of times the fear of death is way worse than death itself. Just think about it. You die, boom, you're gone, right? But fear, that constant fear, day and night. Somebody wants to hit me, somebody wants to try and stab me, somebody, is going to shank me or, throw me down the steps or something. That's a constant thing. He's got to look over his back every day. And I think that's worse than death. Time will tell, we will see. Okay. Most importantly, thank you so much for viewing today, for dropping in. Please take care of yourself. We live in a very dangerous world out there. Stay on your toes. And until we meet again, God bless and thank you.